Hello students, so in our last video we have studied about structure of matter. There we have discussed the basic introductory parts of this atoms. We have seen that how this idea of atom came into existence. We have studied the Dalton's atomic theory also there. But you know what? Dalton's atomic theory was not right. If you remember correctly, we have discussed that in Dalton's atomic theory, Dalton considered that all matter is made up of tiny indivisible particles called atoms. So it is clear from this statement that this idea is not true, because later it was found that atoms can also be divided into small particles. So there are many such flaws those Dalton's theories could not explain. Okay, so let us have a look at these things. So point 1, you can see that these are the limitations. Limitations means that Dalton's theory cannot account for these things. It cannot explain the following points. Okay, so point 1, you can see that the theory does not account for subatomic particles like electrons, protons and neutrons. Subatomic means the particles those are smaller than the size of an atom. Okay, so according to Dalton's theory, the atoms are the smallest indivisible particles, so therefore they cannot be broken further. But we know that they can be broken further into electrons, protons and neutrons. According to the theory, all atoms of an element have identical masses. Right? This is what Dalton's atomic theory considered, that all the atoms of an element have got similar masses. They are alike, exactly alike. Right? But you will later learn about isotopes. Okay, in these isotopes they have got same number of protons and electrons, but mass number is different, so therefore their masses are also different. So you can see, according to the theory, all atoms of an element have identical masses, whereas in reality different isotopes mean the atoms having the same number of protons. We shall discuss it in detail later. So for different isotopes of an element have different masses. For an example, if I consider 1H2, this one is called deuterium. You can see that this is an isotope of hydrogen, right? And if I consider 1H3, this is called tritium or tritium. So for these two isotopes, you can see that they have got same number of protons. Okay, so for this atom, their mass are different, because this has got 2 here, this has got 3 here, so their masses will be different. But according to Dalton's theory, this concept seems to be inconsistent, right? The theory states that the masses of the atoms of two different elements must differ. Okay, however, it is possible for two different elements to share the same mass numbers, like we did here for the isotopes. Another concept that we shall talk about are called isobars. They have got same mass number. So you can see that for argon this is 40, and for calcium also this is 40. So their masses will be almost same. But according to Dalton's theory, since they are different elements, their masses cannot be same. So this is also a flaw, a drawback of Dalton's theory. Now let us talk about the atomic structure. You know what? That Dalton's atomic theory only talked about the existence of atoms, and Dalton considered that all the atoms are indivisible small particles. But all of you know that this idea is not true. J.J. Thomson later found the existence of electrons. Right, these are the small negatively charged particles, you know, perhaps. Later, Rutherford discovered the existence of nucleus. Then Chadwick discovered the neutrally charged particles, neutrons. Okay, so the question is that how are these particles arranged inside an atom? This is a logical question, because we are not talking about the atomic structure. According to Dalton, the atoms are indivisible, but since we know that atoms are not indivisible anymore, they can be broken into smaller subatomic particles. The question comes that how are these subatomic particles arranged, and where do they live inside the atom, and how do they live? So Later, Rutherford proposed a model in which he suggested that all the mass of the atom is concentrated inside a core in a small space which is called nucleus, and electrons, the small negatively charged particles, are revolving around this thing. So nucleus is at the center. This is a circular orbit, say. Okay, nucleus is in the center of this orbit and electrons are revolving around this nucleus. Electrons are negatively charged particles and protons are positively charged particles. Those are remaining inside the nucleus. Okay, but there were certain drawbacks in Rutherford's model also, due to which Niels Bohr had to modify his theory. So we shall gradually talk about them also. So let us have a look at the Rutherford's model. The postulates of Rutherford's model are: most of the space inside an atom is empty. So you can see that in the atomic structure, most of the mass is concentrated only in here, and rest of the portion, this much portion, is empty. So most of the space inside the atom is empty. Although in the picture the nucleus seems to be quite big compared to this also, but in reality the nucleus is near about 10 to the power 5, that is 1 lakh times smaller, okay, compared to the atom. So therefore you can imagine that how much space really is empty inside the atom. Point 2 says almost all the mass of an atom is concentrated at a very small space at the center, which is called the nucleus. Okay, all the positive charge of an atom is confined in the nucleus. We have just discussed that all the positively charged protons are staying inside the nucleus. Electrons revolve in a circular orbit, keeping the nucleus at the center. That's all. In our next video, we shall discuss very briefly about the flaws of Rutherford's model, the drawbacks of Rutherford's model, and from there we shall learn about some new postulates suggested by Bohr. Thank you.